You're on your knees going through a pile of mail on the counter, looking for one envelope, while your foot is on top of a toy you're going to step on the second you stand up. The junk drawer won't fully close because something inside it is wedged sideways, and somewhere in the house is a phone charger that used to live in this exact spot, except now there are 4 cords tangled behind the TV, and you genuinely do not know which one is which. None of this happened today. It has been building for months, one object at a time, and you have been telling yourself you'll deal with it this weekend for about a year. My name is Akira Suzuki. My grandmother ran a small ryokan, a guest house, outside Kyoto for almost 40 years, and in a house where new guests arrived every single day, nothing could ever be dealt with later. Every object had to have a home the moment it came through the door, or the whole system broke by dinner time. Everything in this video comes from watching her run that house, not from research I did afterward. There are 15 rules in this video in order, and by the time we get through all 15, you will understand why cleaning harder has never actually worked for you. But there is one zone in the house, not even a full room, that decides whether the whole place reads as clean or messy in the first 4 seconds anyone walks in, and almost nobody treats it as important. We'll get there near the end, and once you hear it, you won't be able to unsee it in your own house. Here's what you were probably told. Get rid of stuff, declutter. If it doesn't spark joy, donate it, and the mess goes away. That advice isn't wrong. A lighter house is genuinely easier to keep clean. But if that were the whole answer, your closet would have stayed clean after the last time you purged it. It didn't. Within a few months, it looked exactly the way it did before, just with fewer clothes doing the exact same pile up. That's because decluttering removes objects, but it does nothing about the actual mechanism that made the mess in the first place. Here's the mechanism. A house doesn't get messy because you own too much. It gets messy because objects don't have an address. When something has no fixed place to go back to, it goes wherever is easiest in the moment. The counter, the floor, the top of the dresser, and once one object breaks the surface, every object after it follows the same path because now there's precedent. A house isn't messy from too much stuff. It's messy from stuff with no address. That's the sentence to hold on to for the rest of this video, because all 15 rules are just that idea applied to a different room. Rule 1, the clothes drawer. Fold everything into a small rectangle and stand it up on its edge instead of stacking it flat. A flat stack means only the top item is visible, so the shirt at the bottom might as well not exist. You'll rebuy something similar before you ever dig for it. Standing items up means every piece is visible the second the drawer opens. The beginner mistake is folding correctly once and then tossing new laundry back in flat, which undoes the whole system in a week. Rule 2, the flat pan kitchen cabinet. Give every baking sheet, cutting board, and lid its own upright slot instead of stacking them. A cheap office file holder does this perfectly. A stacked pile means you have to lift 4 things to reach the one on the bottom, and the sound of that pile falling is exactly why you dread opening that cabinet. Vertical slots mean nothing ever gets lifted to reach something else. Rule 3, the kitchen counter. Get tools and appliances off the counter and onto a wall rail or magnetic strip wherever you can. Every object on a counter creates a dead zone around its own footprint that you can't cook, chop, or set anything on, which is why you always end up working in one small patch, no matter how big the counter actually is. Rule 4, the cabinet shelf. Measure the gap between your tallest stack of plates and the shelf above it. It's almost always 5 or 6 inches of wasted air, repeated across every shelf in the kitchen. A cheap shelf riser turns that gap into a second usable level, so your mugs sit above your plates instead of floating in empty space you're already paying rent or mortgage on. Rule 5, the freezer. Store bags upright in labeled bins instead of stacked flat. A flat freezer buries the bag on the bottom. Under a year of frost, which is why you own 2 bags of the same frozen vegetable, you bought the second one because you genuinely couldn't see the first. Visibility is the whole function of storage. If you can't see it, you don't really own it. You're just paying to keep it cold. Rule 6, the junk drawer. Add small dividers so every category, chargers, batteries, tape, odds and ends, gets its own compartment. Left undivided, any drawer drifts toward junk drawer over time, and that's not a discipline problem. It's a property of open space. A drawer without divisions is a drawer where no object has an assigned place, which means everything defaults to that drawer. Rule 7. The furniture itself. Choose tall and narrow storage over wide and low. A wide dresser looks like more space, but you can only reach the top 2 drawers comfortably, so the bottom half becomes storage archaeology. A tall, slim unit uses the ceiling, which is free, instead of the floor, which is the most expensive square footage in the house. Rule 8. The closet rail. Use multi-layer hangers to hold several pairs of pants from a single hook, and add a shoe rack to use the floor of the closet as another shelf. Most closets only use the middle third of their actual vertical space, leaving 18 inches of dead air above the hangers and 2 feet of dead space below them. Here's a small story from the ryokan. My grandmother had one wall of guest slippers, dozens of pairs, all identical. The first month I helped her, I organized them by size, and it was chaos within a week, because nobody remembers their exact size when they're checking in tired. She fixed it by organizing them by color of the tag instead, matched to the room key. It taught me the biggest lesson in this whole video. A system fails not because people are careless, but because it wasn't actually built around how people behave in the moment. Every rule in this list is built around behavior, not intention. Rule 9, the pantry. Move your most used dry goods into clear, labeled containers instead of leaving them in their original bags and boxes. An opaque container is a decision you postponed. You can't tell what's inside or how much is left without opening it, so one person ends up holding the entire pantry map in their head, and everyone else has to ask. Rule 10. How you buy storage in the first place. Measure the space first, then buy one product line in one color and 2 sizes for the whole room at once. Storage bought one crisis at a time, a basket here, a bin there, whatever was on sale that week, never stacks or fits together, so the space still reads as cluttered even right after you've organized it. Rule 11. The awkward gap. Measure the strip of floor beside your fridge, washer, or stove. It's usually 6 to 8 inches, and it's almost always empty, even though you're paying for that square footage every single month. A slim rolling cart built for that exact width turns dead space into real storage. Rule 12, the cord nest. Bundle cables behind the TV and under the desk with simple Velcro ties, grouped by device instead of letting them tangle into one mass. A tangled cord nest doesn't just look messy, it actively slows you down every time you need to unplug or trace one specific cable, which is exactly the kind of small daily friction that makes a room feel chaotic, even when it's technically tidy. One safety note here, never bundle cords so tightly that a power strip is buried under a rug or overloaded past its rating. Cable management should reduce mess, not create a fire hazard. Rule 13, the bathroom counter and medicine cabinet. Keep only your daily use items in a small tray on the counter and give everything else, medications, first aid, backups, labeled shelves inside the cabinet, sorted by category rather than thrown in together. A crowded counter is doing the same thing as a crowded kitchen counter. Every object on it kills the usable space around it, and a bathroom counter has almost none to spare. Rule 14, kids' toys. Store half the toys out of sight in bins and rotate them every couple of weeks instead of keeping everything accessible at once. A child with everything out at all times treats the whole floor as one undifferentiated toy box, and nothing ever gets picked up because nothing has a specific place it belongs. Rotation does 2 things at once. It keeps the floor clearer, and toys that reappear after a break get played with like they're new again. Rule 15, the entryway, and this is the one I promised you. In Japanese homes, this space is called the genkan, a small zone right inside the front door where shoes come off and bags, keys, and mail get set down before anyone enters the rest of the house. In most American homes, the front door opens straight into the living room. So every single thing that comes in, mail, keys, a jacket, a school bag, just keeps walking until it lands on the nearest flat surface, which is your counter or your dining table. That's not a coincidence. Every counter you've ever fought to keep clear is failing because nothing stopped the flow of incoming objects before they got there. Build one small zone within 3 feet of your front door, a hook, a tray, a basket, and everything that enters the house gets dealt with right there. This is the fastest visible change on this entire list because the day you set it up, the drift of mail and jackets across your other surfaces stops within 24 hours. Going forward, the habit that keeps all 15 of these from sliding back is smaller than you'd think. A 5-minute reset per zone once a week, and a simple rule that when one new item comes in, one old item goes out. That's it. It's not more effort. It's effort placed at the one point where it actually prevents the mess instead of just cleaning it up after the fact. One boundary worth naming clearly. If clutter in your home is tied to real difficulty discarding items and it's causing ongoing distress or conflict, that's a different and more serious situation than the everyday mess this video is about. It's worth talking to a professional rather than trying to organize your way through it, and there's no shame in that at all. And when you're mounting anything to a wall, like shelf risers, hooks, a rail, always use the right anchor for your wall type. A shelf that pulls out of drywall underweight is a bigger problem than the one you were trying to solve. A house isn't messy from too much stuff. It's messy from stuff with no address. Every one of the 15 rules in this video was just that idea, applied to a different drawer, cabinet, or wall. Tonight, do the one that costs nothing. Set up a small landing zone by your front door, one hook, one tray, one basket, and see what happens to your counter over the next week. Tell me in the comments which of these 15 is the biggest problem in your house right now, and I'll read as many as I can.